TFI Friday, Britain's cheeky, jaw-dropping and must-watch show of the 90s. Tonight we're diving into iconic performances, jaw-dropping moments and the controversies that made everyone talk. This is the story of TFI Friday and the legacy it left for UK rock and indie music. TFI Friday was first broadcast on the 9th of February 1996 on Channel 4.
Good evening and welcome to Friday Nights Live here on Channel 4. From now on at 6 o'clock, this is the place to be if you want to hear live music from Skunk and Nancy. If you want to hear from York, Shed 7.
Written by Danny Baker and presented by Chris Evans, I believe it was one of the last champions on primetime TV of UK rock and indie music. Uniquely, the programme was shown twice in one day. At 6 PM, to begin with, you had a live TV show, and then there was a repeat later on in the night. This lined up perfectly at 6 PM with people getting ready to go out for the night, and then the repeat, which was later, would be when those people would be coming home after a few pints and with a kebab. The show was a mix of live performances, celebrity interviews and chaotic audience participation. Its fast-paced and zany humour separated it from other TV shows at that time. Any big names in the rock and Britpop genres would have performed on the show.
Paul McCartney.
They even had multiple bands perform on each show. Amazingly, the show ran almost every single week until the year 2000. So what legacy did it leave? Here's a challenge for you, YouTube. Drop a comment below on any TV show that had weekly live performances from bands. I'm personally struggling to think of any. You may have chat shows that had a band that performed one song, but you'd very rarely have them perform multiple songs or also have multiple bands on one show. If a song was in the charts, then it would be featured on Top of the Pops, I suppose, but you would have to watch a lot of to get there. And there were some notable musical performances. One of the theme songs for the show was the Riverboat song by Ocean Colour Scene, and they were the very first band to perform on the show.
But here, plugged in and ready to go, Ocean Colour Scene, the Riverboat song, the new single, out now!
TFI Friday was a big supporter of the Britpop genre. Supergrass, Karsh, Kuda Shaker, Reef would have all performed on this show multiple times.
Good evening, friends, and thanks for tuning in to this week's TFI Friday. Of course, the fuel that drives this mother of a show along is rock and roll. So open your tank flaps wide for the throbbing sound of Reef and place your hands in now.
There was also a performance by the Manic Street Preachers of their song A Design for Life. Now this is a notable performance because it was one of their first live performances since the disappearance of their guitarist Richie Edwards. Now for me, this is where TFI Friday sets itself apart from its peers. They also have two bands on there yet you would very rarely see on primetime TV. And they were Slipknot and Napalm Death.
Right, so Napalm Death are here with three songs, three thrash metal songs. The first one, the whole song, 30 seconds long. Please welcome Napalm Death with Low Point.
This just wouldn't happen in 2026, and to be honest, I don't think it's really happened that much since 1996. The only one I can think off the top of my head is Charlie from Busted's band Fightstar performed their song Palinuric's Laughter on a UK chat show, and everyone was a little bit like, this isn't like Busted.
Thank you.
We even had one half of Led Zeppelin perform on TFI Friday. Jimmy Page and Robert Plant performed a cover of the Led Zeppelin song Rock and Roll. Again, this was notable because they performed an almost like-for-like cover, whereas the album that they were promoting at the time was more of a reworking of Led Zeppelin songs. Here's a picture of them performing this song. I'm not going to include the actual song because they'll come after me for the copyright. The show pushed its boundaries due to its pre-Watershed airtime. Originally it started as a live show, but two moments forced the network to threaten TFI Friday to put it on a 20-second delay. In the end, the show was pre-recorded as if it was live, with some suggestions that it was actually filmed 1 hour before 6 PM the actual airtime. These notable moments included celebrities and also members of the public too. In its very first season when it was live, Shaun Ryder from the Happy Mondays appeared for an interview. In this interview, he swore on live TV at 6 PM.
Oh, no, hang on. Patrick Cox, man, and Patrick's the good...
Whenever I see Shaun Ryder, I'm not 100% sure how he managed to survive all the drug taking in the late 80s and 90s. Hollywood star Ewan McGregor was also a guest on the show, and guess what? He swore too. This was the point where Channel 4 stepped in and the show was no longer live. So where do the members of the public come in? Well, there was a staring contest between two children. The winner of the staring contest would win a car for their parents. That's quite a lot of pressure on primetime TV. So what happened when one of the children lost? Well, they cried live on TV. And how bad was that? It was very bad, so much so that I can't actually find a video clip of this. TFI Friday did return in 2015, and two of the children from these staring contests actually appeared as adults. I am going to include this clip because you can still see that the male contestant is actually still quite unhappy with what happened in the 90s.
Do you remember that moment?
I don't want to remember it, I don't think.
All right.
I've never seen it, so it's
Okay.
the first time. I don't want to see me lose or cry.
But you, I mean, you're a very handsome young man now. I mean,
Thank you.
you know, I can't believe it's the same kind of thing. So, what are you doing in your life? Have we scarred you forever? Have you recovered?
Well, I sell pensions, so you can take
Okay.
it how you like.
Well, I'll be seeing you later then. In that.
So you'd think after the first time that the lesson was learned by Chris Evans and his team. Well, no, not quite. After the controversy and tabloid pressure, the next episode featured the child that was crying surrounded with assortment of toys and looking much happier. However, the show proceeded to then do another staring contest, but this time, rather than winning a car for their parents, it was actually a speedboat. And guess what happened? The losing child started to cry on TV again. This led to the Independent Television Commission to formally warn Channel 4 that they were breaching their code of conduct. After the second staring contest, Chris Evans was heard saying to his producer that they cannot do this again. After this, they did do staring contests, but it was between adults. And really, this was the beginning of the end for TFI Friday. In the year of the staring contest, a survey was done on the Great British public, and it was found that people were generally starting to tire of TFI Friday. Viewing figures also found that the 6 PM edition was actually losing out to BBC Two, who were showing The Simpsons. An example of these viewing figures is the 6 PM TFI Friday got 1.14 million viewers, and The Simpsons got almost 4 million viewers. In 2000, before the final series was due to be aired, in a desperate attempt to boost ratings, Channel 4 changed it back to a totally live show. However, disaster struck, Chris Evans stepped down as presenter and therefore forced Channel 4 to have guest presenters. However, it's fair to say that TFI Friday had a really good run. It ran almost weekly from 1996 to the year 2000, and it featured the biggest US and UK music. Critics derided certain aspects of the show, and to be honest, there's a lot that changed from 1996 to 2000, so I think it just naturally started to fizzle out. However, it was a show that really championed UK and US rock and indie music, a place to see the top bands perform live around their tour dates. There was a 2015 reunion, however this got cancelled after one series. It's quite notable on the musical guest just how much the musical landscape has changed since the 90s, with a far more emphasis on pop acts. TFI Friday was the right show in a world where you could go out with 20 quid and come back home with change.